Welcome into this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter. Meteorologist John Burchfield here with the latest on some late October warmth that brought temperatures in the upper 70s and even the lower 80s to the region. We're going to talk about the weather patterns that contributed to this warmth, also about the ups and downs in the temperatures we experienced this week, and also what role is climate change playing. I'm going to let you know the link between climate change and this late season warmth coming up in just a few minutes. But if you're not already subscribed to the Climate Friday newsletter, be sure to do so. We have videos and articles each and every Friday about climate change and how it may impact you, so you can subscribe at WTOL.com/email. All right, let's dig into the data and talk about this October warmth that featured record temperatures across much of the region. Now, the week didn't start off warm. In fact, quite the opposite. We began the work week with our first freeze of fall. We started things off at rock bottom with the mercury barely hitting freezing on Monday. You may remember waking up that morning. Boy, was it cold. Not only our first widespread frost, but this was our first time reaching that freezing mark on Monday. Some areas north and west of the metro, including Hillsdale, dipped down as low as 29 degrees, and locations like Lenawee, Monroe, Defiance counties all got even colder than Toledo did, with temperatures between 29 and 31. Now, despite that reach to the freezing level, we were not quite there at record territory. The record for Monday stands from 1969 at 21 degrees. Can you imagine getting that cold in October? It was unusual that year. We were still about 10 degrees shy of the record, but our first widespread frost and freeze nonetheless. We're a little late to the party as far as a normal frost goes, and some years bring exceptions to that rule. Back in September, we have seen freezing conditions before. In 1975, that was the earliest first freeze ever recorded. What about the latest? Sometimes you got to wait till the middle of November before freezing conditions do arrive. The latest first freeze that happened at the beginning of the 20th century was the November 15th. That is when our last first freeze occurred. We fell somewhere in the middle of that spectrum with that 32-degree reading on Monday morning. Now, quite the weather roller coaster this week. We went from freezing conditions to a little taste of summer. We hit 81 degrees on Tuesday, October 24th, and it brought a summer feel to northwest Ohio and southeastern Michigan. Check out those high temperature reports across the region, ranging from the 70s along the lakeshore to the lower 80s in the Toledo metro, and a few areas like Hancock County even reaching 83 degrees with that mild and breezy feel. Also in the 80s include Wauseon and Defiance, which also came close to that record level. Our official high temperature observation came in at 81 degrees, oh so close to record high levels. Tuesday's record was set back on October 24th of 1963. So it's been a while since that record occurred, and we were just shy of that. Now, of course, October is a month that often features a significant downhill in the weather as we go towards the end of the month, but sometimes we do keep around the summer warmth. We've hit 92 degrees. That is the all-time monthly record in Toledo, and we hit that both in 1939 and 1951. So that goes to show that year-to-year variation in the weather does have a big impact in addition to climate change. And it's not only the recent years that do bring some warm conditions. We've had what we call a ridge in the jet stream that has brought this unseasonable warmth. And with high pressure off to the east of us, that has kept things exceptionally warm and also breezy with that southwesterly wind. So this week obviously featured some big time warm days. But where do we stand across the month of October? So far, we have logged 5 days in the 80s throughout the month of October. And if we were to hit 80 degrees on Friday, that would tally number 6. The hottest day of the month came on October 3rd, and we reached 89 degrees. So remember, the hottest we've ever reached in October is 92. We came fairly close, but that was early on in the month. And October, as you know, often features a significant downward trend in those temperatures as we go towards the latter half of the month. So that's in Toledo and locally. What about nationwide? Even though this October has featured some ups and downs here locally, it's been abundantly warm across the country. So far this month across the nation, over 2,800 high temperature records have been set, and that looks at a number of different cities in every state. So you look at that number of high temperature records, and it far exceeds the number of low temperature minimums, which is a mere 127. I mentioned how we came shy of that record of 32 degrees, and the record was 21. So we did not get a low temperature minimum, but there have been 127 across the country that are set. And not surprisingly, the number of hot records far outweighing the number of cold records, and that is a trend that we have noticed in part due to climate change. So what is the link between climate change and this late season October warmth? Well, in general, things are getting quite a bit warmer, and the month of October, data comparing averages since 1970 shows a 2.3 degree uptick or warming trend in October temperatures, and that's just for the Toledo and Northwest Ohio and Southeastern Michigan area, seeing that significant upward trend in what we normally experience. Of course, there is some year-to-year variation based on the individual weather patterns like that jet stream ridge that I just showed you, but overall, things are getting warmer. Also, the number of days that are above average, that is increasing as well. In general, over the last half century, Toledo is seeing 2 more weeks or about 15 days that are above average more than usual. You'll notice there is some year-to-year variation there, but the overall upward trajectory is very easy to distinguish there, and we're seeing more warm anomalies than cold ones, and that's not only true in the Toledo and Northwest Ohio area, but also nationwide, in that high temperature records are becoming much more common than low temperature records. And you'll notice during the fall season, we typically now see about 40 days that are above average in the temperature department. And yes, we still do see some colder days, but overwhelmingly, the number of warm days becoming more commonplace. Now, we are still going to continue to see warm weather into the start of the weekend. And if you're watching this or reading this online on Friday, you likely felt that last little taste of summer. The weekend is going to feature a big time decline in temperatures, and heading towards the end of October and the start of November, a significant drop in the mercury. We'll continue to update you as we round the corner into November. Be sure to subscribe at WTOL.com/email. Follow along on social media, and we'll have the latest Climate Friday newsletters coming your way.